This apple tree is looking great right now. Spring's really nice here. So we're out for our morning and we're under the drip edge, the maple drip edge guild here. Really nice because it's got some shade. And that's nice because it's been so dry lately. It hasn't rained in a while. So everything's getting dry and crusty. And I haven't been on the lookout for what Max is looking at there, which is mushrooms. Not even thinking mushrooms would be coming up when it's dry like this, which is too bad because I forgot that I had transplanted some spawn here, and obviously it's doing well. Some of these are going to be edible still. That is basically a full meal there. Now, the problem when they get like this is they're still edible, but typically when you're looking at the mushroom on the inside, you just have a higher likelihood of running into worms. So just have a look. This one looks all right. So we could actually probably still eat this. The taste goes a little different, but not bad. It's still good. But you really do want to get them when they're looking like this here. And look, they're pushing up all this spawn. So this is like a full meal right here. I can probably actually still harvest quite a bit of it. Let's check this one out. It actually looks good. That's good news. So, see how there's little pinholes in there? That's the kind of stuff that you're looking for. And you're just looking to see if there's any worms in there. But this seems fine actually. When you're harvesting your mushrooms, it's actually important not to pull the mushroom out because you'll rip out part of the mycelia. So the mushroom itself is this white, these white single cell fibers, and that actually will break up the wood chips. This is a saprophytic mushroom, which means it eats dead matter. It'll eat the wood chips, turn it into soil. It breaks apart the lignins in the wood. It's one of the only kingdoms on the planet that does that. And before mushrooms had evolved the ability to do that, wood had kind of piled up, and then on the earth, it's like billions of years ago, and then mushrooms evolved the ability to access that nutrient, and then they kind of had a big flush and kind of took over. And most of the species on the planet Earth are ones that have evolved with the symbiotic relationship of the mycorrhizal network of the mushrooms. So it's a fascinating history on pretty much every living organism on the planet, and that's why mushrooms really are one of the keystone species of planet Earth. So I'm great at getting off topic, but what I was trying to say is when you're harvesting this, come by with like a knife or scissors and cut them at ground level. Don't yank them out, because when you yank them out, you'll break apart that mycorrhizal network underground, and you don't want to do that. It won't kill the mushroom because it's all over the place. It'll just put a little hole in the area, and there's no point to do it. Might as well harvest them properly. So we'll harvest this, we'll eat this with our breakfast, and we'll get another big chunk of a free meal. In the same area, I'm kind of checking on cuttings and transplants. So we've got a pawpaw here. This one obviously survived the winter, so it's just coming out of dormancy, which is exciting that survived up here because it's a little cooler and colder up here. That windbreak's not there. This was a hascap cutting that I remember putting in because I was laughing. There's no way this thing's gonna survive. Like, this is a skinny little stick. It's about a 1 millimeter in diameter, and it actually did survive. So these leaves will collect photosynthesis, which will send some energy down into the roots. And even if this ends up drying out and dying, at least the leaves are putting energy back into the plant, into the root system, and then we might get some suckers popping up. So even if this thing's sucky and thin and ends up dying, the fact that there's going to be some photosynthesis being collected there, sent down to the roots, means this plant, the whole plant, will probably live, which is awesome. And we've just been cutting these dog strangling vine out of this area. This is just what happens when your whole entire neighborhood is covered in this stuff. This whole bed was sheet mulched, and I am 90% confident that these are not coming from under the sheet mulch, and rather that wind had blown some seeds in and brought them here. So this is just kind of what happens when you've got stuff everywhere, and wind will bring seeds in from all over the place and bring those invasives into your property. So even if you do sheet mulch an area properly, now this was literally a foot thick of wood chips when I sheet mulched it, a foot thick with double layer cardboard. So you will still get stuff blowing in, and it's just the way that it is. I don't even know where this is coming from. Is there a cutting here? So this is elderberry. And where did I put a cutting? I don't see a cutting anywhere. It's a dandelion that obviously blew in. This is a buffalo berry. And I don't see a cutting here. Is it this? Maybe it's this. Yeah, look at this. So something must have come in and eaten this. There's a little cutting that I put right there. Totally dead as a doornail, dry as a bone, and this is why you don't pull those out, because we've got an elderberry popping up from the roots. So that will survive no problem. That's awesome. So we're just going around and cutting all of these at the ground, all these dog strangling vines at the ground, and dropping them down. And again, I don't want to yank them out, I don't want to disturb the soil, and I don't want to fracture its roots because it'll just make more. If I fracture the roots, it'll make more. But if I stay on top of the photosynthesis, the energy in, it'll starve. So we're under the flowering dogwood, who is shedding all of its petals right now. And it looks like I transplanted some more wine caps here. So we've got a whole nother field of them. So tons of free food just popping up. Definitely don't neglect that mushroom layer. And another elderberry cutting that did really well. And one right here that did really well. And we've got a transplanted, I believe this is a blueberry. So this is the patch that's right at the bottom of this multi-graft pear, which, by the way, looks like it's going to put on a huge crop this year. Look at that. Loaded. All down. So I transplanted this last spring, so just don't give up on your spots and try to remember where you put them. That's my problem. But don't give up on them. This didn't produce for me at all last year. I transplanted it last spring sometime, and it's just giving its first flush now. And it's spread out quite a bit. I probably put it in a little patch this big, so it's really spread out through the whole garden there. It's popping up quite a wide area. And if I keep this nice and moist, it'll just kind of drip, or extend out, under the drip edge. So that's kind of why I put it at the drip edge. So you can see the location selection for those ones is right at the drip edge of this tree and at the maple drip edge, plus kind of underneath the pear, which will eventually have a nice drip edge. And remember that the drip edges of trees are accumulation sites for nutrient and water, which is obviously good for mushrooms. So when rains come down and it's hitting it on an angle, hitting the tree, it hits the leaves and will drip down. And that's why these nice edges of trees tend to be fertility collection sites and water collection sites. So a nice deep mulch, nice biomass, biological material to suck that water nutrient up is how you want to design your guilds. And that's basically just mimicking what nature does. Nature will drop seeds from the leaves, drop them down, and this is where the saplings do the best, right in this dappled shade of the underground of the mother plant. And the mother plant nurses the new baby plants into fertility and life and longevity. So try to replicate and mimic nature whenever we can. including planting at the drip edges of all of your existing trees. All right. So all right, this is the polyculture in a pot. And what we'll do is take some mushrooms of varying age, not age, but I guess, you know, maturity as far as them dropping spores. And basically the mushroom will have spores inside of it, and then it opens up and releases them and drops them. So we took a couple older ones, but just in case those older ones had already kind of dropped all the spores, we got some fresher ones as well. And we'll just kind of do that with it. That's all you have to do to propagate the mushrooms. Just bury them in wood chips, and we'll see if they colonize that pot at all. And even if we don't get a flush of them, you know, that symbiotic relationship with the wood chips and the nutrient cycling, it will all still take place inside that pot. So on a mushroom hunt, and we're in the Jerusalem artichoke patch, and they're coming up, and it looks like someone had helped me, and there she goes. Someone had helped me decide that she wanted a hole here. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Does anybody know what these are? I might have to look these up. So the plant is a hazelnut, but it's covered in these things. Anyone know what those are? Are they friend or foe? I'll have to look them up. So a good way to look them up is on Reddit. There's a subreddit called What's This Bug? So you can post a picture there, get a good picture obviously. I'll try to do my best. See if I can figure out what that is. Specifically concentrated on this one hazelnut plant, which could be a sign of a weakness, or they just could be attracted to it, and it could be a good thing. But often bugs will kind of concentrate on the weakest plant. So if you see an infestation somewhere and it's localized to one plant, that's usually an indicator of some kind of nutrient deficiency. Because if plants have everything they need, then they're almost impervious to insects. And the reason why we have so many pest pressure in all of our gardens is because we don't focus on soil. We focus on plants. We don't build that soil up, protect that soil. So we just try to fertilize plants and get them strong for the season, but that leaves the soil dead, and then we have nutrient deficiencies in the following years. So that might be happening here, and I'll be very attentive to if it is, but it could just be that these bugs love this plant. So we'll have to see what's going on there. So I think that's it. I think we found them all, and I think we'll go inside and eat some breakfast. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.